Hey guys, another great edition of Quarantine with Coaches. Today I got a special guest. He's Bryan Stork. He's a tight ends coach at East Tennessee State. Coach, how you doing?
Good, great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And how's everything in Tennessee?
Life is good. The weather's good. Just getting back to work, staying busy. Pretty excited for the season coming up. Glad we're having a season. So it's good stuff.
Inching closer to being back to normal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about not only your playing career, but now as you transition into a coach at East Tennessee?
It's kind of a long story a little bit. Midwest kid, grew up south of Eastern Illinois in Charleston, Mattoon area. Got a chance to move to Florida as a kid, ended up playing Little League down there and played at Vero Beach High School and was a blocking tight end and a wing T type of offense. So, maybe got thrown to 3 times the whole career. Just being a player, got a chance to go to Florida State, took it, ended up playing the NFL, and, now I'm coaching. And it's been interesting because you had so many coaches throughout the journey, and you take a little bit from each one of them, and you try to mold it and make it your own type of coaching style. And been around a lot of good ones too, that's for sure.
And for those that don't know, I mean, you were an NFL player, I think, 4 seasons ago or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah. I lost
5 seasons ago, but I'm not great at math. But how have you transitioned from, NFL player now to coach as being still a pretty relatively young guy?
Yeah, turning 30 this year, but I still feel like I'm 25, learned a lot from, Coach Belichick being in there, and just, he kind of just takes whoever's in that room, he takes them to the next level, and you learn a lot from him. And, it was a hell of an experience, I'll tell you that. Meant a lot. I remember there'd be, certain days where it'd be all business, and then, break the monotony. And that's what I try to do as a coach, get after it, sense urgency very high, but, then try to break the monotony every now and then, have a little fun. Football is fun at the end of the day. And, that means a lot to me, is having fun in football. That's what the F stands for, right?
Yeah. You tell me Coach Belichick has fun?
Yeah, absolutely. Believe it or not, he's a hilarious guy, and a lot of experiences and a lot of team competitions that go on amongst the team, during camp, things like that, when it gets really just the dog days. And it's important, to keep, fun competition around. And, that's a lost art too, is competing, and trying to teach the kids that these days, I think is very important.
Hey, one thing I think is unique about you is I read this. You're one of 5 people that won a national championship and a Super Bowl in basically a year span, right? And you did it at Florida State, and then you moved on to the NFL, and you played for New England. Those are 2 really obviously traditional powerhouse football programs. What did you learn about great culture during your time with those two institutions?
Yeah, so it all comes down to just a sense of urgency, loving the game. If you don't have guys on the team that don't love the game, you have no chance. It is what it is there, but being around a lot of great guys from different walks of life, learning how to communicate with one another. Sometimes you don't know what the hell one person said, but they don't know what you said either. And just learning to work with different types of people. And obviously, like the sense of urgency, showing up to work every day, your attitude, your work ethic. Are you just in the day, are you doing your job? I don't mean to sound like Belichick cliche here, but are you doing your job, and are you doing it well? And over and over and over. And you gotta have the will to want to be great. If you got a lot of guys that want to be great and, the best in their profession, or college, NFL, you got a chance to be a really great team, and then end up with Super Bowl rings and national championship rings.
What advice do you have for young coaches that want to try to emulate your career?
Wait, you're just talking about my career? I mean, I'm still starting out. I mean, last year was my first year full time, so I'm still very humble and young, and trying to learn. But the best advice I can say is do everything you're asked of. If you have an opportunity to work with special teams and it's something you've never done, do it. Do your best to just learn as much as you can. Like, being an O-line guy, try to learn the wide receiver stuff. Try to learn the quarterbacks. What's this progression, things like that. If you're a quarterbacks guy or a skill position guy, learn what's going on the interior, inside the box. Hear defensive guys talk, and you're an offensive guy. Try to get something from that. Just learn as much as you can, and don't be shy to ask questions. Even though if they may sound stupid, I've done it.
Hey, we'll do a little rapid fire before I let you go. What's the book that has had the biggest impact on you?
As far as just overall life?
Yeah, life or coaching, either
I
one.
got you. Honestly, I haven't read many books. I've read very few, but um, I did enjoy a book in high school called The Land Remembered. It was about a bunch of cowboys that were just running cattle back when Florida wasn't really owned, and they dealt with Indians and Native American Seminoles, and learned a lot how they just lived back then, how they grinded, how they worked, and one bad thing through adversity they would fight through it. Bad weather comes and kills all their cattle or citrus. They get bit by some stuff like that, and learning stuff from the outside of football I think is really good, and then you can apply it to football, and that that book has always stuck with me. I actually bought it.
What we're sort of getting out of quarantine now, but what's the TV show that you were binging during quarantine?
I probably saw The Office all the way through four times, and that'd probably be a total of 10 times in my life. Saw Parks and Rec about 4 times, and then rewatched Yellowstone and waiting on the third season to come out. I love Yellowstone. It's one of my favorites.
What's the best episode of The Office for you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. If you're pulling for Jim and Pam, obviously when, they have their moments, when you enjoy watching Dwight and Jim go at it, those are always good, especially when he starts to own the building and stuff like that. It gets interesting there. But, yeah, I couldn't pick just one.
Yeah, that's a tough choice. I actually am binging The Office for the second time through quarantine, so I'm with you on that. Did you have a go-to quarantine meal?
Yeah, any kind of red meat. Love steak. Been big on the fillets. Just throw them in the cast iron skillet, and sear them each side and throw them in the oven, really low. And it only takes a few minutes. Heck, the vegetables take longer than, cooking them in the skillet. So that's been good. Nice glass of red wine and maybe little makers for dessert. But other than that, it's been really good. And I've been enjoying eating well, but trying to stay in shape too.
Who's been your biggest mentor?
Mentor. So I worked for Shannon Dawson at Southern Miss, who was offensive coordinator. He's got air raid background a little bit, but playing in a pro style offense, I think it's cool to take some of his stuff, as far as what he knows. And obviously our head coach here, Randy Sanders, I watch him by example, just the way he is and the way he recruits, the way he handles people, and does a really good job of delegating. I kind of take a little bit from everybody, but like I said, he's not like on my butt, trying to give me all this advice, but he just kind of lets you figure it out and go along. And I can appreciate that.
Awesome stuff. Coach Stork, thanks for taking your time out. Appreciate you coming on Quarantine with Coaches.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.